Hello, this is week 8 student technology project, and I'm very excited to have another sort of long form project. So, perhaps more excited than you, but it's interesting for me. So, the plan for this week is your major thing is that you're going to be doing a project whereby you integrate some content into, you integrate the technology tools you've been looking at into a unit of content in whatever, whatever kind you want. So, I have a bunch of different standards down here that you should look at. There are the Mass State frameworks, but if you're in Rhode Island or wherever, you can also look at those ones. Um, I have the Common Core standards, a little more general. Then I have the AASL standards for 21st century learners, which is more a format for research, but they're quite handy. And then the Mass Digital Literacy and Computer Science standards. So whatever combination that you want to use of these, but you need to have specific standards listed, that show why are you teaching this lesson. There's a lesson plan template from Washington County, Virginia that I really like. It lists specifically the a space for the Virginia standards, but you can change that to the state of your choice. But it's really good for a technologically integrated lesson plan. They have very specific things that deal with this. You can also develop your own if you want to do a format. The Salem State lesson plan template that generally gets used is not. I'm not a huge fan. Our department is currently developing a lesson plan format specifically because librarians are a little different with the co-teaching. We want to do a lesson plan format that works just for us, but that's not done yet. We're also looking at ways of integrating those AASL standards into each of the classes here. So taking a look at those is definitely going to be helpful in the future. So that is the format you need to, as far as what you need to include. I'm not making you do a rubric for assessment, but if you have a rubric that don't bother to create a new one for this. But if you have one that you like, feel free to put it in. It always looks nice, but it's not a requirement. Although generally, when you're doing lesson planning at this point, you do need to have a rubric. So just your standards you're using, your content, who's doing what, when are you doing it, how are you assessing it, what are different, things that you have for ESL kids or kids with differing abilities, and then the technology piece. What tools are you using? Why are you using them? How are you using them? And then you need to have some student work. So you can either, if you want to put it in there as an exemplar, you can, or if you want to do it as in this is what we got back from Jimmy, you can do it that way. But have some student work that shows what you would expect it to look like when this lesson is completed. All right, so that is the lesson plan. Then the other things are the discussion where you can talk about your process and bat things around like that. Maybe do a little talking about the standards. And your blog, I want you to go back and revisit the things that you explored in modules 1 through 8 and put your top 5 in your blog. Now, a lot of people have done lists of their favorites, things they couldn't live without, but they have generally been more than 5 or so. I want to gotta narrow it down. What are those 5 things that you're definitely sticking with and why? All right. So I believe that's everything for this week as far as. Oh, I also have a couple of 3 links to different sort of warehouses for educational tools and apps. They're just sites. If you're looking, if you're like, I just want something new, you can go over there and there's 130 tools in 160 minutes. There's 100 free Library 2.0 webinars and tutorials, and then there's tools and apps for formative assessment, which is kind of a specific and nice thing. So you can take a look at those if you feel the need. There's also a little bit of Richardson reading, which I cannot for the life of me remember what it is, but clearly it's important and it's less than 10 pages. So take a look at that. That'll give you something to feed the discussion. All right, so that is this week's. Now, looking ahead, there is for week 11, the final project. It's usually in the past been an individual project. Every student goes and interviews a librarian, or if they're currently working in a school library, they can interview themselves about their OPAC, their online public access catalog, and about how it works and how they like it and what the features are and what they wish they could change. And then goes on from there to compare it to a second OPAC format that they research online, or call and get information about however you want to get information about that second OPAC, and then does a project that essentially compares the two in a very amusing format for me. But you can look that up in on week 11. What I'm doing this time, because it's summer and it's difficult, it may be difficult to find a librarian who's excited to talk to you about their OPAC as opposed to drinking margaritas by the pool. So what I'm doing is pairing you up, and I've chosen partners for everybody. And there's a primary who's somebody who's currently working in a school library and is working with an OPAC that they're familiar with. And then the secondary is generally somebody who's not working in a library, or they're working in a public library, or they're in the, as opposed to being in the classroom. So both of you will, for week 11, work together for the interview piece. The secondary will interview the primary and talk about the OPAC. And then if you like, you can continue to work together on the project and, do the same information, the same, what is the word? We do it all the time. Research. Do research together and work this up together, but you don't have to. I know that sometimes, especially where it's the summer and where we're not all in the same area, it might be more difficult to work together. So you guys can choose as a pair. If you want to work together, a little easier work-wise, but you have to combine, find the time to combine. If you're just, going away or you can't work together, then you can choose to not. It's up to you. So just be aware of that. All right, I gotta go. I got company. I'll see you later. Bye.